All right, episode 34.
34.
I think we should change.
Nervous just for a second.
Why are you
I
nervous?
don't know. I think if it's been so long.
So I was thinking we should change the name of this podcast from "How was your weekend" to "How were your last 2 weekends?" Because
Yeah. Or just like, how are you?
how are you? Yeah, what's new?
No, I feel like we haven't recorded in a long time and we have so much to talk about.
We do.
We barely tapped the fact that like you feel a little bit brain foggy.
Yes. So
But
I did the Seattle to Portland bike ride on Saturday, which we can talk about later.
Can't
But
wait.
yeah, since then, my body's still recovering and my brain feels like it's recovering. Like
Yeah.
I feel like my mental capacity is low. I feel like I've been tired constantly.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like, and I was telling you, I've keep texting the wrong people. Like I keep sending a message to somebody that I meant to send to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's happened like 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what's happening.
You're like, okay, brain. I think you need like another day in bed.
I think so.
You need more rest.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit like, so today something a little bit traumatic happened.
Oh,
Alice, my oldest, had to get some blood work done and she is petrified of needles.
Oh.
So we had a doctor's appointment a couple, maybe even like 6 weeks ago now. It's a little while ago. And we were just explaining that Allie has had a few moments where she feels like dizziness,
Yeah.
kind of lightheaded,
She's fainted a couple
a
times,
few
right?
times. And then most recently when she's been really cold, she loses like circulation in like extremities, like
Oh
in
my
her
goodness.
fingers and toes. It's like white. And so we're like, So when we had a doctor's appointment, we were explaining all that. And so she was thinking, could be due to lack of iron. So let's get you some blood work. And as soon as she said that, Allie's face just like dropped.
Oh no.
And she like, so for example, when we had to get a shot one time, it took an hour to get the shot
Wow.
done. Like she's that terrified, and we had to start and stop and had to keep cleaning the arm.
Oh no.
So like it's a thing with her. And so when we had family in town, Allie's like, I can't do any blood work while our family's here. Like I don't want to ruin the time. So we put it off. And then next week is her follow-up appointment. So I was like, we have to do the blood work this week. So we've been, working up to it. I mean, we have been like last night, the girls were at my parents' house for a little bit. And when I picked up, my dad's like, okay, we're going to pray over you. Like I've been talking her up. I'm taking her to Portland tomorrow for her birthday weekend. So I'm like, after the blood work, we're going to go pack for Portland. It's going to be great. We're doing all the things. So I was kind of thinking, okay, I think, she's going to be okay. We showed up and first of all, there was a wait. So the anticipation in the waiting room, she's like sitting there shaking, she starts to cry. And then we go back and she just loses it. And the lady is so sweet. And Allie is being so sweet. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm just so scared. She's like apologizing about how she's behaving. And then she sits down and she's like, okay, let me just put the band on. That's like one of the hardest parts, is just getting the band around your arm. And so she does that and then she wipes it with the sterile and she's like, it stings. She's like freaking out. And I am like, okay, it's just me and her. I'm like trying to comfort her. And then at one point, Allie is like, okay, wait. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. And her whole body is like trembling. And now I'm like, there's a waiting room full of people. This is not one of those places we just get to sit around for an hour. So I'm trying to be like stern, but kind. And anyways, and so finally she gets the needle in and freaks out. She's screaming, it hurts. She screams, mommy, help me. Like it was the most, like I'm literally like grasping her head, like holding her forehead to my forehead. Like we're both crying. It was like, and I'm looking at the lady, like, is she doing something wrong? Why is she screaming that it hurts? Like it was very intense. And then it was done. And Allie was like, I'm so sorry. Like so apologetic to the lady because she felt so embarrassed about how upset she was.
So it's not one of those things where it's like, it's over and she's like, oh, that wasn't too bad. Like the reality is not it's just as bad as the perception.
Unfortunately. Well, so then on the way home, I mean, she was just so shaken up. And then after she'd calmed down on the way home, I was kind of like, so was it really as painful as you thought it was going to be? Like, was it worse than you thought? And she was like, no, it was as bad as I thought, maybe a little bit less. But I think what happened is her body was just so tense and she's shaking that any little prick of pain was going to be exaggerated type of thing. So I also feel a little Like today, I was just like getting ready to come here, and I was like, man, I just feel like that was emotionally draining.
That's a
To
lot.
start our
To have
day.
your daughter
Yes,
screaming
to
for
have
you.
to ask me to help.
Yeah,
Like
that's hard.
that is one of the hardest. I couldn't, and I just feel like that was her getting routine blood work.
Yeah.
If I had a child who had other health conditions, I don't know. I'm like, props to those parents who
Yeah.
have to be strong in those
That's crazy.
situations and just, put on brave face.
Are you good with blood work when you have to do it?
I mean, I get it done all the time. I
Yeah.
like it's fine. I don't love it. It's not like I'm like excited. The hardest part for me is the fasting, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I have an issue with my veins. So my
Okay.
veins are very hard to find.
Oh,
I'm not vascular at all.
Okay.
So because of that, most of the time when I get my blood drawn, it
Yeah.
takes like 5 pricks before they're able to get it. I hate giving blood because if it was just once, I don't care.
yeah.
But literally, it's them searching both of my arms
Oh no.
for a spot where they can get blood,
Okay.
and it's a lot. Sometimes there's an angel and they get it on the first try,
Yeah.
but almost every time they're like they try it 3 times in that arm. Oh, that didn't work. Let's go to the other arm, and
Okay.
I hate it so
That's
much.
miserable.
Yeah, and that's my life when I have to get
Oh
blood.
man.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Do they ever give you a warm compress?
No, I don't think they've
Okay.
heard that.
Somebody told us if it was hard to find her veins, ask for a warm compress.
Okay.
And then everybody says stay as hydrated as
Yeah,
possible.
I always try to drink as much water as I can.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's weird.
Still.
It's a family thing. I think it's called like varicose veins. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
So my grandma had it or has it, and I guess I got it as well.
can't
So
find 'em.
it's weird. Yeah, you just like my veins are not visible. at all.
Wow.
Very weird.
That's interesting.
So with health things like this, like with
yeah.
Allie,
Yeah.
or with yourselves, like, are you and Chad typically the same amount of worried, or is one of you more worried, one of you less worried?
Yeah. I mean,
Do you spin in circles? Like, do you IMDb symptoms and
Right.
try to figure out what
Yeah.
things could be?
so in this particular situation, I haven't really. Like,
Okay.
I'm kind of like lack of iron makes sense.
Yeah.
She has been, she's turning 13 on Friday. So it's like she's getting those teenage years, this like lethargicness and lack of energy. I'm like, maybe that's normal. Maybe
Yeah.
we're getting into the teenagers, but it has been extreme. And then the passing out has like ramped up over the summer.
Yeah.
And she's had a couple more like close spells or whatever. So I had a moment where I was like, because then the other thing the doctor had us do was an EKG and like check her heart.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment where I was like, oh, like what if there is like something more? But the lack of iron, just to me, I'm like, that could be a really simple solution.
Yeah.
And so I didn't spiral too much there. I don't know if I told you a story when I was pregnant with Piper and there was some concerns with the pregnancy.
No, I don't think so.
That one I
You
did.
can have Shannon fact check, and we've
Yeah.
talked about it before.
Which episode, Shan? That I did stress a bit
Okay.
and went down like rabbit holes of like what ifs.
Yeah.
And then decided after that pregnancy I don't ever want to be pregnant again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is Chad the same? Is
No,
the same
no,
as you?
not that he vocalizes. He
Okay.
could be an internalizer and like he's worried, but he's not saying it. That's
Okay.
happened a few times where like, let's say I remember I had like a little health scare thing and I told him like, oh, I got results back and everything's fine. He's like, I didn't want to tell you this, but I was like actually freaking out. So I was like, oh, okay. So I think he's one of those
Okay.
where he's like playing it cool, but
Yeah.
he's got the duck feet underneath.
Gotcha.
Like, freaking
Okay.
out.
Yeah. So Brian's. Brian, I hope you don't mind me saying this. A little bit of a hypochondriac.
I think
So
we've heard
yeah,
you've shared that
we
a
maybe
lot.
talked about it before. So he it seems like when there's something potentially wrong, he tends to be very concerned about it.
Yeah.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And that when there's a concern, I'm like, oh, it's fine.
Okay.
Like with everything.
No big deal.
Which is, I don't think
I
either.
wish I had that.
No, I don't think it's good either. I don't think either are great because it's like,
yeah.
for me, I would just let something go unchecked for a long time and then it
Specifically
develops.
health. Do you get this way in other situations?
No, I'm talking about health
Okay,
specifically.
just health.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So like if I have a health issue, typically I'm like, I won't go to the doctor and I'll
Yeah.
just kind of like, well, it's not even necessarily true. I don't know. I just think I tend to worry a lot less about health
Yeah.
issues than Brian does.
Yeah.
And then like with Stevie, anytime, so Brian always thinks something's wrong with
Okay,
Stevie.
yeah.
I'm always like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right now, within the last week, we've noticed like these lumps developing on her neck. So like these little clumps of like hair, maybe they're moles,
Okay.
something going on.
Yeah.
And my general mentality would be like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like not whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a thing that happens.
That's going on. Yeah.
And then Brian's obviously concerned about that.
Okay.
So now I'm feeling more concerned about
Yeah.
it. So we're getting her in on Friday.
Okay.
But it's just like, it's so weird how everybody has different ways that
Yes.
different levels of concern.
Well,
with
interesting
health
how
things.
it's translating to Stevie. I
Yeah.
wonder for you personally, like one of my thoughts is you are so healthy and active
Right.
that I wonder if you can tell yourself like what's going to happen.
Totally.
Like I've done so many hard things with my body
Yeah.
that if something goes wrong,
But
I'm
then you
not
hear
really
about
worried.
people who are super
No,
healthy,
I know.
super fit,
I
and
know.
they have whatever thing happen,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah, still.
yeah. Anyway,
Well, speaking of
keep
hard
us
things,
keep us updated on Allie.
yeah, will do. I kind of want to just like jump to STP.
Okay.
Because it's the most like, I mean,
Eventful thing.
Thing.
I don't know. I think the dinner with Chad's parents was a little bit more eventful.
Is that how long it's been?
We haven't chatted about that.
That feels like a long
with
time
bops
ago.
and bims and boops.
Yeah,
that was great. By the way,
Shugs and peanut nunu stuff. That's fine.
That was a great dinner. It was so fun meeting them.
Yeah,
they're such cool people.
Yeah. I'm so glad we got to do that. I feel like the time flew by that they were here.
Yeah.
That there were other people we wanted to connect with that we didn't get to do. I was like, I thought we'd feel like we had all the time in the world.
Are they back home now, or are they with?
Now they're in Aspen. So
okay.
now they're with Shugs.
Shugs.
For another 2 weeks or so. They left just this last Saturday.
Nice.
So been a couple of days.
Was it a hard goodbye?
It was harder for
Chad.
Clearly. I mean, the challenge is like as they leave right now, we don't have like a we'll see you at this point.
Right.
So that is always the hardest part. Because it's, it's not like you can just like pack a bag and go tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can't just stay for the weekend. So that was hard. And then Piper really has a hard time saying goodbye to my mother-in-law. She and this happened the last time we were in South Africa. I was really trying. I was trying to figure out if this was a me thing or if like I felt like as an Enneagram 7, I try to avoid pain and sadness. And I knew that they were leaving early Saturday morning.
Okay.
And so I was Piper was like, I'm going to go to the airport with you. I'm going to snuggle you the whole way there and say goodbye. And I was like, don't have her go. I was like telling Chad on the side. I was like, just don't tell her you're going to take her. Let her sleep. You guys say your goodbyes at night because otherwise you're just going to sit for 45 minutes just bawling your eyes out. And in the car.
Yeah.
And to me, that sounded so miserable.
Yeah.
But I think other people, maybe that's okay. Maybe, I don't know. I was like trying to be like, is this a me? Like, am I making this because I would never want to do that? That I'm trying to be like, don't let her go. When really, she really wanted to go. And whether or not she cried the whole time is kind of like, why should I care?
And did she cry the whole time?
She cried the whole time.
Okay.
And Chad said when they went to leave, like she was hanging out the window, hugging Gorks and then wouldn't let go. And then Gorks would like run down the airport way a little bit and hug her again. And
oh my God.
Begging Chad to do one more loop. Like, let's go back around one more time and say, so he said it was as bad as I was imagining it would be. But then I was like, I don't know. I just kind of had to like take my thing out of it because in my head I was like, that just like rip it off like a band-aid.
And you weren't there.
I didn't go.
So no harm, no foul.
Yeah. I was like, you can handle it. Yeah. I guess I pretty much handled it the best way I could. So that was this last weekend. And honestly for us, since they've left, it's like there's not much to report. So that's why I feel like Seattle to Portland is really our
we can dive in.
Yeah. Here we go.
It was, man, I'm trying to, it gave, so there's a number of hard things I've done in my life, right? There's Mount Rainier, there's the marathon, Ironman, a few other things. So previously, if I were to have ranked my hardest things, it would have been Mount Rainier first, for sure.
Yeah.
Then, surprisingly, the 100,000 steps in a day was incredibly, that was harder for me than the Ironman.
Wow.
Which was weird, and then the Ironman, and then probably marathon and other stuff. This gave Mount Rainier a run for his money.
Really?
It was so stinking hard.
Wow.
Mostly, I think, because it was so long.
Yeah.
There was no, so basically the day went, I woke up at 3 a.m. that day.
Oof, okay.
Because I needed to get my steps in still. Because it was day 920 something of my 10,000 steps. So I had to do that. So
to be sure, pedaling counts.
So interestingly enough, it did count towards, but it never has before. Here's why. And I realized it's a little bit of a glitch with the Apple Watch.
Okay.
If you're going on a bike ride and you start a bike ride workout on your Apple Watch, it'll know you're riding a bike. So it won't count any of your pedals towards your steps.
Oh.
So normally when I go on a bike ride, I get 0 steps out of that.
Okay. Yeah.
This time, because I didn't start a bike ride on my watch because I don't want my watch to die.
Yeah.
It did count those as steps. So I got there and I was out, I don't know, crazy amount of steps.
Okay.
Yeah. So in hindsight, I didn't necessarily need to do the steps in the morning, but I feel good about knowing that I did hit 10,000 steps that day, because I did about 5,000 in the morning, and then I did walk a good amount throughout the day at each rest stop.
How long does it take you to do 10? Like, do you try to do 10,000 in one go?
No,
throughout the day.
Throughout the day.
Okay.
Yeah. So normally I'll go on about a 2-mile walk.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day helps contribute towards the remainder. So it's 4 miles for me to hit 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
So I usually do 2 miles of an actual walk, and then 2 miles just randomly throughout the day walking around. So anyway, so I woke up at 3 a.m. very early, and then did my step, did 2 miles, and then got ready, and then Brian dropped me off at UW, Seattle. Around
the starting.
That's the starting point.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Seattle, Portland. They're not like South Seattle. Like,
right.
Like, let's go as far north Seattle as we can get.
What still considers Seattle.
So drops me off at UW. I think he drops me off around 5:15. Takes me about 30 minutes to like get all my stuff settled, put my number thing on. There's all these different heats of bikers that they basically every 10 minutes they start a new wave of people. So that took me about 30 minutes. So 5:45 is when I started.
Okay.
I crossed the finish line at 10:25 p.m. So I woke up at 3 a.m. at 10:25. So almost 24 hours later, I crossed finish line, and it was one of the longest days of my life. For sure.
I mean, I kept tracking your Instagram stories. I wish they had a thing like the Iron Man.
I know. I wish they did too.
Or you could see. Yeah. I just kept seeing like, okay, because at one point you had said, if I have to stop, I'm just going to stop.
Yeah.
And then, but you did not.
Okay. So here's how the day went. So started at 5:45. And again, my brain feels like so foggy right now for some reason. So woke up at 5:45 and started at 5:45. That's when
woke up at 3.
Woke up at 3.
Yeah.
I crossed the start line at 5:45, and the first 100 miles I was feeling pretty good. So the total distance is 206 miles.
Okay.
As we talked about previously, my previous longest bike ride was 80 miles. So this is 2.5 times as long.
Yeah.
And after that 80-mile bike ride, I was feeling pretty exhausted, right? So first half of the day went pretty well. Like it was, good energy, the race day energy. Are
you with other people the entire time? Like, is there other bikers like always in sight?
For the first half, for sure. Okay. For the second half, it starts to dwindle because most people do it in 2 days. Like the majority, I think 90% of people do it in 2 days.
What?
I really want to do it in 1 day.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have to get back on the bike the second day.
Yeah.
That was my rationale. I should have done it in 2 days.
Okay.
I should not have tried to do it in 1 day.
Okay.
But what happened is, let me just go.
Yeah.
So, started the ride. The first 100 miles felt great. I was enjoying it. Great camaraderie from everybody.
Yeah.
They set it up nicely. So every 15 to 20 miles, there's a rest stop. Okay. So there's
it's nice.
It's at schools and parks and hospitals. You'll be able to like use a bathroom. You'll be able to. Most of them have free snacks, so they'll have like a station set up with bananas and protein bars and everything. Probably 10 to 15 things to pick from.
Did you also have stuff in your backpack?
I did not. I did not have a backpack. I just had. I wore my biking, like suspenders basically, which have a lot of pockets for stuff.
Okay.
So I didn't have a backpack. I just kind of carried most stuff on me, and then I have a little carrying case on my bike.
Okay.
So every 15 to 20 miles, I'd stop. I'd go to the bathroom. I'd get snacks, and I'd fill my water bottle with either Gatorade or liquid IV.
Okay.
That was every 15 to 20 miles. I'm going into a lot of detail here. Sorry.
It's great. We love it.
And again, the first 100 miles felt good. Like you start in Seattle, you go south you go through Renton. I was actually pretty close to my house.
Oh, funny.
Which I'm like, I should have started my house, but that would have been the real thing. So went through Renton, down 167 pretty much, past Puyallup. One of the stops is in Puyallup. Then over to Spanaway, and then from Spanaway you like go through JBLM for a lot of it.
Whoa.
So I like rode through the base for like probably 20 miles.
That feels like more east than south. Is that
the route was it would definitely like as the crow flies, Seattle to Portland is definitely shorter than 206 miles.
Okay.
But the reason it's that long, I think, is because they pick the route that's the best for bikes, basically.
Okay.
Like, with actual like trails and roads without a ton of cars. But that's not even a lot of the roads did have a lot of cars on them, which got dicey towards the end. But,
are you like, is it literally like a bike trail for a lot of it, or you
only for a little bit? So there's a small portion of it, which I don't remember where it was, but that was on a bike trail.
Okay.
But most of it was on the roads and on the sidewalks.
Okay.
But for most of the first part, you're with so many bikers that like traffic pretty much just stops. You're not like riding along cars for the first half. I mean, you are a little bit, but the second half, a lot of it is along the highway. And you're literally, cars are going 60 to 70 miles right past you. And that's at the point where I'm just like dead. Like I'm so
that's kind of
okay.
Scary because you're already so fatigued.
Yes.
And then you've got this dangerous thing going. It just seems like a recipe for disaster.
So thankfully I made it safely, but okay. So got through the first 100 miles. I mean, I was tired. Like it was not easy, but I was feeling pretty good.
You felt better after the 100 miles than you did after your 80-mile ride?
Probably, yeah. Okay, probably about the same, I would say, as after the 80-mile ride. Because I was like, I think the difference was hotter. So it was getting really hot that day. So that I was like feeling very warm, but I'm like, I can keep going. At 100 miles, I could keep going. Yeah. At 100 miles, I called Brian because he was my pit crew for the day. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I can make it to Portland. And so I'm like, okay, book a hotel. Yeah. Yeah. So we booked a hotel in Portland, like within 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, now I'm committed to going to Portland. Right. Or the alternative is I make it most of the way and then he picks me up wherever I am. Yeah. And then he drops me back off the next morning. So that was one option in my head, but I didn't want to have to do that. Yeah. Because again, I was like, I don't want to get back on the bike day too. Yeah. So halfway point is in Centralia. And again, like all the rest stops are great. Like there's a lady like wrapped a cold wet towel around my neck and helped me cool me down. And there's free French fries and all this
sign me up.
Free
no,
stuff.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
How did you know where to go? Like how do they give you like a big map in the beginning? Are you like tracking? How are you tracking?
The first 140 miles, I wasn't tracking anything. I was just going with the crowd. Okay. Pretty much. Okay. Yeah. Like I was with people most of the time. Got it. If I wasn't right next to somebody, I could see them, 100 feet ahead or whatever. So, and everybody has their numbers on, so you can tell who's in the race. So I was kind of trusting that if I just followed the bikers, that I would stay on the right path. Yeah. Until the point where there were a lot fewer people around, and then there is a map you can use. Okay. But I was trying to save my battery. So once I got to that point, I started the navigation, and it kind of takes you along the route. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So I don't even know where to go from here.
Okay, wait, one more question.
Yeah.
With the people around you,
yeah,
how often are you like talking to them?
Not very often.
Okay.
There were probably 3 people throughout that I like stuck with for a while for different durations or portions of it, where I'd be with them for 30 to 45 minutes and we'd be chatting a little bit here and there. But
like just like, hey, you're doing great, keep it up, or like
there's a lot of those comments. A lot of those. So let me this is a good little intermission.
Okay.
So
okay.
this day simultaneously gave me a lot of like hope for humanity, that like there's so many great people out there.
That's awesome.
While also making me feel like there's a lot of jerks out there.
Oh, okay.
So like the good people, like there's like the comments you said, like you got this, like keep your head up, it's all in your head. Like all those comments throughout the day were great. Like a lot of good pep talks throughout the day. People could probably tell I was struggling the second half, and give me the pep talks.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of spectators along the sidelines that are cheering, and all the volunteers, all the rest stops are led by volunteers.
Okay.
So no one's getting paid for it. And they're super nice and, cheering you on.
I could do that. I think I could be a good volunteer rest stop person.
Yeah.
And like snack on the free fries.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
How do I get into that? Let me know. Let me know the next race.
There's a lot of races like this that are always looking for volunteers.
Because I'd love to cheer people on and offer snacks.
Me too. Yeah. So that aspect of it was great. Like I could not have finished it if it had not been for like the camaraderie of everyone doing it together and the nice people along the way.
Yeah. Okay.
On the flip side, there were I got probably 5 like mean comments throughout the day. Not from riders, from like the general public.
What?
So, and I'm not I'll probably remember a couple of them, but and there were a lot. So one of them was like, I was on this trail and it was like kind of narrow.
Yeah.
And there's another biker. He wasn't doing the race, but it was another guy on a bicycle riding towards me. And like for a split second, I kind of swerved because there was like a little bump on the road. So I swerved kind of into his side and he was still a bit away. And I was like, and then he yelled, he's like, hey, like this loud thing. And then I swear back. I'm like, oh, sorry. And then he said, moron.
Oh,
like, okay, thanks.
Gosh.
That was the first one. Another one was like, I'm not even remember what. Oh, this other guy. There was a guy in a car, and most of the day there's I don't even know why I'm bringing light to this negativity. It was just it's funny to me, like the comments that people make.
And we had just like this is so minute and has probably not even related. But when we were pulling out of our driveway the other day, pulling out in Chad's big pickup truck, and so it takes in a little bit of slope, we have to kind of gear up to get out of it. And there were 2 bikers crossing like going in front of the driveway as we're pulling out. We would not have, I mean, even if we were going, Chad had plenty of space to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
But like the most dramatic reaction of like, whoa, pulls her bike over and like whirs, and then it's like, oh my God, like has this very verbal,
I saw a few of those
response. And we were like, okay, like we literally like coming out of our driveway. We're not like speeding down the road, but yeah, it was a little intense.
Yeah. I saw a couple times throughout the day where that would happen. Like a car would kind of pull over and they got people in front of me would like freak out. Yeah. Okay, calm down. Like you're good.
It's not that serious.
Okay. But this other guy, I was like, a lot of the day, the cars are like very courteous to the riders and they'll like let you, you know, you don't have to stop at stop signs. You can just keep going.
Oh, nice.
So there's one stop sign and I swear the guy like waved me forward, like you can go. And so I did go. And then he rolls down his window and he's like, rules of the road, asshole. And I'm like, okay. So there were like a couple more comments like that.
You should have been like, STP moron.
Another one, there was one hill that was crazy and it was towards the end and I was walking my bike for a second.
Okay, good for you.
And this guy, not that it matters, but he was overweight and he yells out the window, cheater. Because I was walking my bike. I'm like, you get out here, dude. Like,
you're like, do you know how long I've been doing this for? I'd like to see you try this.
Yeah.
Man, I wouldn't bite. You just like bite your tongue.
I did. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm just keep going. I don't have the energy for any of this. But so yeah, there are a lot of great people. And then just like a handful of people that I'm like, are you serious? Like, give me a break. So anyway, intermission over. So second half just sucked. It was horrible. It was so hard. It got harder and harder.
How often are you like losing people? Like, was there a definite like in Centralia, people are like, all right, see you tomorrow. Like there's a big drop off of attendees during that.
Yeah, the first half of the ride, I was with a lot more people than the second half. There were a good amount of people I was with the second half, but it slowly dwindles throughout the day. Yeah, because a lot of people will go like 3/4 of the way and then stay somewhere and then go to the end. Or a lot of the one day people are just way faster than me. So like they finished, you know, several hours before I did. So I wasn't even next to them. Okay. A lot of the time.
Are you seeing like, remember for Ironman, there was like such an array of age, body types. Like, are you seeing a variety of people? Are you like you're like,
it was probably less of that. Age. Well, it was definitely a wide range of ages. There were a couple kids that were doing it, which was cool. A couple like 11-year-old, 12-year-olds. Oh my gosh. Don't think they did. I think they were, some of them would like start later on in the route or whatever, but a couple people I saw kids on the road.
Wow.
I'd say most people seem pretty fit that were there. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to like think back on key highlights. It was just like there was literally the second half was just really, it was so hot. It got up to like almost 90 degrees. Ugh. I felt like I was just overheating the whole time. I was stopping at every rest stop, so that always helped, but it was
still every 15 to 20 miles.
Every 15 to 20 miles. Towards the end, they'd shut down, so I would stop at gas stations or I would still stop.
What?
Because you're not supposed to. I finished at 10:30 or whatever. Yeah. The finish line closes at 9 p.m. Oh. So a lot of the rest stops close like accordingly. So like the final quarter, most of the rest stops were closed. Okay. So I would create my own rest stops.
Okay.
And there were like, I don't know, maybe 50 people that I was like kind of with for the last portion of it. But I think like 5,000 people did it or something crazy. And
5,000?
It's a big event. Yeah.
That's huge. You go into the gas station and be like, can you just say something nice to me? To the attendant.
So yeah, so basically it's from Centralia, the rest of the route is a lot more like rural, like small towns. Yeah. You ride for like 10s and 20s of miles between seeing any buildings or anything.
Yeah.
Really hilly.
Ooh.
Like for some reason I knew the elevation gain, but I did not expect it to feel this hilly.
Yeah.
It was just like there's a stretch where it's just this really huge hill up, really large hill down. The hills down are great, but they were a lot shorter. And then you go back up another hill. So hilly. Yeah, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Are you listening to anything during?
I was starting. Yeah, I had music going for a bit of it, which is nice. I was trying to listen to podcasts to distract myself.
Okay.
I didn't really start doing that until towards the end part, and that was a lot of the time when I was on the highway. Okay. And I couldn't hear it, like because it was the loud car noise. Man. So, the other factor. So I'll keep going. I got into Oregon. By the time I got into Oregon, it was probably I think 8 p.m.
Okay.
And around there, and I had like 50 miles left.
Yeah.
that 50 miles was, and so the previous 50 miles from 100 to 150, that was the portion that was really hilly.
Okay.
Like constant up and down and up and down. Yeah. Really hard. The last 50 miles was less hilly, but I was just so done at that point that it just felt so brutal. So brutal. Yeah. So, and that's the part that's along the highway. So it's like, and it all looks exactly the same for like 40 of that 50 miles. It's just the same continuous highway.
Do you have something that's you're looking down and be like, okay, that's 40 miles. That's 30 miles, 20. Like, and what are you
I made the mistake of looking at that too often, probably. Okay. And that was like, so the last 50 miles I was switching between the map, the navigation, and then that Strava app, which is what I use to track how many miles I'm at. Okay. And I was definitely looking at it too often because I'd be like, I'd go and I feel like I'd gone a good distance and I'd only gone like a half mile. And it's just like, those 50 miles took some of the like most mental strength I've ever been required of me.
I mean, what are you thinking? You're just like, I have to.
It just felt like it was never going to end. It felt like I'd literally.
But like, how did you not just decide to stop? Like, what were you telling yourself?
Because I had the hotel in Portland and I didn't want to have to give back. And I'm like, I'm so sore. Like this is maybe TMI, but I was so chafed everywhere on the lower half. So sitting down on the seat was just like so excruciating, like so painful.
Oh my gosh. When does that start getting like really painful?
The last 50 miles. Oof. Yeah. And it's to the point where I'm like trying to stand most of the time, but you can't really get as much traction. You can't go as fast when you're standing. So the parts that were great is when I could be with a group of people. That was always more motivating to me because I would be like trying to keep up with their pace or whatever. Yeah. Anytime I was by myself, I was just like so in my head and just felt so like defeated. And it was getting dark too. And I'm like, at this point, I really want to finish it in one day. Yeah. I know that the sun's going to set at 9 p.m. Okay. I'm like factoring my time. I'm like, I'm probably not going to get there till after 10 p.m. Yeah. So I'm like, and that stretch of highway there's no street lights on any of that. So I'm like, I need to get past this stretch of highway before it gets dark. Yeah. So I'm like the last 50 miles trying to go as fast as I can. And I'm just like, my legs are literally just jelly and my toes hurt because my shoes are pinching on them. I still have some like toe issues going on. My legs are sore. My butt like hurts so bad from sitting. Oh, my back hurts. Like I have a headache. Like it's just so bad. So bad.
I cannot comprehend this.
Yeah. And then so I finally get to the point where I'm like crossing from past the highway part. It's probably like the last 10 miles. Okay. And I just have to cross this other big bridge over the river into like Portland city limits or whatever. Right. And then I have 10 miles left. I'm like, and I for some reason thought that part was gonna be like easier. Like, I'm 10 miles. That's it. Easy. That's all I have left. Yeah. That was so hard because it was so dark at that point. It literally was like, there's no light left in the sky. I was just in so much pain. And
are you just like crying? Like I would just be like, like the whole time. I
don't think I cried. But yeah. So that last 10 miles was really rough. There were a few people that I kind of was sticking with towards the end. Okay. Really nice lady was like, I told her I didn't have a light. We were crossing this bridge with a lot of cars on it, and you need I should have had a light on my bike. Okay. But I never bike in the dark. Right. And I wasn't expecting to finish after dark. Yeah. So, she like her husband or something. She's like, hey, you go in front and let this guy go in the middle of us. Cause they each had lights on their bikes. And so that was nice. So a lot of nice moments like that, but
that's sweet.
Yeah. Finally crossed finish line, like a 10:20 something, cross it. Immediately the guy in front of me slams on his brakes because he's done. Yeah. And I couldn't brake in time. No. And I have the clip-in shoes, so my shoes clip into my thing, and I'm like, okay, so then I fall over.
Oh no.
As soon as I cross finish line, I just like tip over and fall onto the ground. And I'm like, what a perfect way to end this.
And Brian's there.
He's there.
Wait, did he capture any of that?
He did not get me. He crossed me. He got me crossing, but he didn't catch me falling.
I feel like there's a picture of you. I know.
Yeah. So overall, super thankful for Brian for helping me out the other day.
Just hearing that.
It was such a long day. Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine. I mean, the mental strength to just be like, everything hurts. But then to think, if I stop now, it's only going to be worse tomorrow.
Yeah. And it would have been like that. So the night of was the most sore I've ever been in my entire life by far. Like as soon as I crossed finish line at 10, whatever, getting from there to the hotel, which was not that far away. Yeah. Was so painful. I literally couldn't really walk. Like I was limping and like I looked like I was seriously injured. Oh. And I got to the hotel room try to like put my stuff away. And I had to shower because I was disgusting. And it was one of the most painful showers in my life because everywhere I was chafed just hurt so bad from the shower water. And I like needed to eat something, but I felt like I was gonna be sick. Like I sat down right when we got into the room. I sat down, like I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
I think I didn't, but
What was your meal? What did you eat?
Brian was so sweet. He got me some like a couple Gatorades. He got me like some chips and cookies and just like some nice care package stuff.
Yeah.
And then I ordered it was like Cane's Chicken or one of the chicken places, like couple chicken sliders.
Yeah.
I had to force myself to eat.
Yeah.
I think I burned like 12,000 calories that day.
Understandably.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the day.
Oh my gosh.
It was hard. I like always try to be honest about these things. Yeah. I want to be like, oh yeah, it was great. But and the first half was great. It was fun. Second half was just so bad. Yeah. It was just so hard.
Do you think like, is there any part of you that's like, man, I wish I had stopped halfway? Or are you like, no, it would have been just.
I'm glad I finished it in one day. Yeah. Yeah. That was like the original goal. Yeah. And I'm glad that I pushed through and finished it.
I mean, you did that.
Yeah. And if I were to do it again, which I don't plan on it, but I would only do it again if I was with a group of people that were all doing it together. Because the portions of the day where I was with, a few people and I was in their line or whatever, like those were the best parts of the day.
Right.
The parts where I was by myself were the worst parts of the day. So
a little bit of metaphor for life, folks.
Yes, absolutely.
Solitude does not do us well.
Yeah. But I got so many nice like text messages throughout the day. So that was kind of helping me push through too.
Okay.
And so that was the STP.
What's coming up this weekend? You have something else, right?
Yeah, and I feel that'll be good. I feel like I'm doing the Seafair Triathlon on Sunday. So that'll be
triathlon.
Third year I've done that.
Crazy.
So this
is a sprint one, so it's like
sprint. It's a half-mile swim, which I did a half-mile swim yesterday in the pool just to make sure I'm good there, which was fine.
Yeah.
14-mile bike ride. So 8% of what I did the other day.
Just that last push that you did at the end, plus a few.
I know I'm going to be traumatized when I see my bike and have to get on it, but whatever. And then a 5K run. So I'm good with that. Yeah. My goal is to stay in in good enough shape to be able to do that every year. I want that to be an annual thing.
Sure, that's great. Yeah. I love that. I like that goal for you. Aside from your walking and swimming, have you done any other exercise? Is your body okay?
It's good. My legs are still sore, which is unusual. Usually if I do a really, even with Ironman or with Mount Rainier, I remember my legs were sore for a couple days.
How long was Rainier?
How
long was that? Did it take you?
It was, it was over 3 days kind of thing.
That's the thing.
It was a lot more split up. So it was maybe 8 hours of climbing or whatever. So, so the next Saturday night, I was the most sore I've ever been. Sunday, I was very sore, definitely hobbling and limping a little bit.
Yeah.
Monday, I did an upper body workout, so I didn't use my legs at all.
Okay.
And I got a massage Monday, which was very nice. Smart. Just a lower body leg massage, pretty much. And then yesterday I swam. So I haven't really.
Those are pretty good things for your sore muscles too. Maybe a little Epsom salt bath or something.
I saw a bath.
Did you guys get your thing up?
Sauna? Nope, not yet. Okay. Going up tomorrow, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was STP.
Well done, sir. Well
done. I had a really negative spin on that, but
I think that's very honest, and it sounds like it was brutal.
It was brutal.
You did it.
Yeah. It was. I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I checked off the list.
Yeah.
Second half was I probably should have done it in 2 days.
I don't know. I honestly, okay, so I've told you the story where we were at Suncadia and we got lost on a bike trail and I was riding a kid's bike.
Yep.
And that alone, the 45 minutes of my ride, I couldn't sit down properly that day. I was in a hot tub and I couldn't get comfortable by the jets. I had to go lay vertically on my stomach and just not move. So if that's any taste of what your life was like.
Yeah.
I don't envy it. I don't envy it.
It's not for you.
No. I am trying, just since my in-laws have left, I am trying to get into a little bit healthier, just kicking in some better habits. I'm using the MyFitnessPal.
Nice.
Tracking food.
Are you?
And
tracking everything?
Well, listen, I started yesterday.
Okay. I'm going to ask you next week.
Yeah, please do.
I hate tracking food more than anything.
I need, okay, I was trying to tell somebody okay, this is going to sound whatever, but I'm just going to be honest. I went to this gathering. It was for the cheerleaders.
Okay.
And all these other moms were there, and they're all so freaking fit and skinny and beautiful. And I'm like, what's happening right now? Like every single one of them, like little teeny tiny thin rails.
You're in that category.
Austin, I love you, but
you are.
Okay. So
you totally are.
I just was like,
everyone watching this video right now,
I'm
look at Jamie.
Watching, like, don't actually watch this. No, but I just had this moment of like, oof, I gotta. And while his parents were here, we had sourdough bread every day.
Yeah.
We just,
Love
you're
bread.
vacation mode. You're just. So no, there's no tracking. I think I did one workout. We would walk, but like I think I lifted weights one time while they were here. And I just have not found a thing that's like, this is my fitness thing that I love.
10,000 steps every day.
I think so. I'm gonna try that.
My parents have been doing it for 2 years. 200 days.
Well, the thing that I'm
200 days. Isn't that impressive?
Amazing.
I'm so impressed by my parents for doing that.
That's actually incredible. And I do think there's something to be said. We've talked about this. Mentally, for me, walking's one of my favorite things. I do feel like right now I'm just getting bombarded with like, you need to be tracking your macros and you need to eat more protein and you need to lift heavy weights. It's all about weight training. And so I'm like, I feel like pressured to be doing something like that.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not a CrossFit person. That's the other thing. Everybody's like CrossFit, like at the girls' school.
All the moms?
Like everyone.
Really?
Moms, dads.
Interesting.
It's a big thing. And I'm just
Have you ever tried CrossFit?
No. And I won't be. I'm sorry.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. But I need to find something that like works for me. Because right now I just do like a spontaneous Nike workout on Netflix or I YouTube, something like.
Have you done Orange Theory?
No, we've talked about this.
It's Shannon.
No. And actually what's funny is I was telling Shannon and my friend Kelly about this, and they were talking about Orange Theory in particular. And Kelly was saying what, the circuits and then the rowing and the treadmill and like how it's about your heart rate.
Yeah.
Listen, you would be shocked how high my heart rate goes up in just a minimal activity.
She'll do great then. She'll be in the orange the whole time.
I'll be so embarrassed. Like, I don't want to do that.
Is that why you don't want to do it? Because you're embarrassed with your heart rate?
I'm embarrassed in general. Like, I'm like, I don't want to go.
You don't like group classes?
Well, not in this season. I used to love it.
Okay.
Where I'm at is I don't want to do something for the first time that is everybody else's expertise. And I feel like those types of classes, like if somebody was like, hey, this class is only for first timers, the only people coming to this are people that have never taken a class before, then maybe I would try it. But I don't want to be the one that's the newbie and everybody else is like done it before. That's kind of my mindset for a lot of things. I'm not going to lie. Like Chad's family was here and we were golfing all the time. And I was talking to his mom a little bit about like, she's never really picked up golf, even though everybody else golfs. And I was saying for me, one of the struggles is Chad's been doing this for literally decades.
Yeah.
So he knows all of it and he's really good at it. And to start at the beginning just feels impossible.
Right.
Like, I don't know. So that's, I don't know, maybe that's like my mental block, but that's where I'm at. So
could you find something new to do with somebody else that's also new for them?
That's what I would love that because, and if anybody's looking, because that is one of my things. It's like, I don't do well alone.
Yeah.
My friend Carrie and I used to work out together at her house and I would get up early in the morning and drive to her house to work out because I knew I'd see her and like have a friend and accountability. So there is an element that's like, if I were to connect with somebody who was starting something new,
right,
I would be like, okay, that I kind of would love, that would be ideal for me to find that. But everybody just seems like so like set in their ways and they have their thing. And
I bet my mom would do something with you.
I would love that, Rondi.
I bet you would. She's always, I mean, I've heard them talk about wanting to like get, I mean, the 10,000 step thing has been amazing.
If I could pick one person, it would be her.
Yeah.
So
hit her up.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's a new thing for me. I would love for you to ask me about it.
About MyFitnessPal?
Yeah. In the future. Just am I still doing it? So one of my motivations, I'm going to a wedding in August and it's, one of my girlfriends in California. So I'm like, I'd love to have kind of like a goal to get to that wedding and have been consistently tracking and trying to stay in like a little calorie deficit and be doing those steps.
Do you have a certain number of calories you're shooting for?
Well, okay, this was what was confusing. So I started yesterday, right? I started tracking these things. And Chad was explaining it changes based on your activity level.
Yeah.
So if I exercise, like this morning I did a little workout and I have more calories that I can use than I did yesterday. Yesterday was a little bit more sedentary day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I guess I just want to like be in a deficit of like 300 to 500 every day, I think. I don't know if that's right.
That sounds right.
I'm still learning.
Yeah. So basically, I think our body naturally burns X number of calories per day with zero movement.
Yes.
So that's your like baseline number of calories. If you eat that number of calories, you maintain your weight. So if you burn, let's say, 1,000 calories of active calories in addition to that, then that's an additional 1,000 calories you can eat throughout the day.
Right.
So if you burn 1,000 active calories and you eat an additional 500 calories over your normal number, then you'd be still in a deficit of 500 calories.
Right.
Yeah. So with the thing that I have a hard time with is just that everything is an estimate, which is fine.
Sure.
Like, but I mean, it's better than nothing, right? But like for MyFitnessPal, there's so many things I eat where, like, if it's something like this where I can scan the label, easy peasy.
Totally.
I feel like there's a lot of times if I go out to eat or there's like a lot of meals where it's just like so hard to get it correct. And again, you're estimating is fine. Yeah. But
no, I was thinking about that too, because I was like, okay, I'm putting in that I made scrambled eggs, but like, how do I add the fact that I added some butter to the pan and then I added a little bit of half and half, but it's like such a minor amount. Like I was trying to figure out. So I'm with you. I do feel like that's going to be a bit of a pill, and I literally am 24 hours in. So
that's, I mean, I think for me, I've done that before. I've gone probably months at a time where I've tracked. I've never done it for more than probably a month, but anytime I do it, it's always helps show me how quickly things add up.
Yes.
And how calorie dense certain things are. Yeah. Like drinks a lot of the time have so many calories. Right. And the other piece is the other macros. I don't know, are you looking at that at all? Like the protein, carbs, fats?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How hard it is to hit protein goals is always surprising to me. How high in fat certain things are. Like peanut butter is something that I've always had on my like diet plan as a healthy food, but peanut butter is pretty high in fat.
I know.
And it's good. It has some protein in it and it's healthy fats, but if you have more than a couple tablespoons of peanut butter, which when I do peanut butter, I'm just like,
you're like, obviously, who doesn't?
As much as I want.
Yeah.
The fat adds up really, really quickly. Yeah. So I feel like tracking helps you just be able to pay more attention to those kind of little things.
100%. And so for us, we used to do keto and higher the fats, the better.
Right.
So that sometimes that mentality still, I'm like, oh, that's not bad, but it probably is when that's like not my main focus, you know? So
yeah, I think high protein is kind of
that's what they're saying.
The main thing.
Say.
High protein.
Yeah. Okay. So what else? How was your 4th of July going back in time?
Yeah, it was great. So
does that not feel like that was a year ago? Like
it feels like a long time ago. Yeah.
Feels like so long.
It does. Yeah. 4th of July was great. We spent it at my parents' house. So we saw you Wednesday night.
That's right. Okay.
So we saw you guys Wednesday night and then the 3rd and then the 4th. Yeah, at my parents' house. Did all the 4th. We went on the boat and did some jet ski rides and
then you went to Chelan.
I went to Chelan for a few days. So left on Friday for Chelan, which I just love Chelan so much.
I love watching Stevie love Chelan.
That's one of my favorite things about Chelan is how much she loves it. It like brings me so much joy how happy she is there.
And swimming.
She loves swimming and it was great.
Yeah.
Got to spend a few days there and then
so nice.
Came back and then STP and that's been life lately.
Okay.
Yeah. How was your 4th?
Our 4th is good. We also hosted, so I had a handful of friends and family over, and it was good. I feel like I know I've talked about this, so I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Like sometimes I have a hard time. I'm so preoccupied with the planning and the preparation that when it's happening, I have a hard time relaxing and being like, are we all enjoying ourselves? Like, and I just want to be in the moment. So I was trying to make sure I talked to everybody and like, but I just didn't feel like I did the best job with that.
The whole night, was there any point that it kind of like switched from that, because same thing, exact thing happens to me.
Yeah, I guess as the evening went on and there was less people there, but like my friends brought family and I felt like I didn't even really go up and chat much with them. And then I had a couple people that were there that they talked to each other. So I felt I was trying to be aware of like who's got somebody.
Yeah.
If I see somebody alone or I know somebody doesn't really know other people, then I was trying to be intentional there. But it was still good. And I feel like going back to like you're like, oh, I feel like I put a negative twist on this. I feel like I do that in all things. When I'm explaining something, like, how's it going with your parents? I'm like, it's been great. I will say, like, I always have to like add.
Yeah.
There's a hard element.
Interesting.
Like, I don't want people to be like, you think everything's perfect all the time. Like, I don't know. I feel like I always have to disclose.
That's it. I do the same thing. It's like a tendency to focus on the bad things sometimes.
But for me, you don't sound like you're focusing on that. I feel like you're being honest with it. Whereas I feel like when I'm telling people, I can't not say, well, here's the part that's been tough. Like, I don't know.
I feel like I do the same thing though. Okay. Like people ask me how work's going and my brain doesn't go to the things that are going really well. It goes to the things that aren't going well. And it's weird. It's kind of a weird mindset thing. We should probably both work on.
I know. I felt like I did it quite a bit when the family was visiting. Like I would be like, it's great to have them here. I will say, I would be like, because it just, so here's the really odd thing with having family here for so long. In normal life, if you're going to go see your parents, you go and you have dinner with your parents.
Yeah.
And for a couple hours, you hang out and maybe play games. And then you go home and then it's a few days and you go. It's different to be constantly together. And you're like, and what was great, and I felt like what was really like actually lovely was we would be all together out on the back deck and we would all just be reading books. So we like wouldn't have to talk, or the kids would be swimming and we would just be reading. And so there was definitely moments where it didn't feel like constant engagement, but there was still this element of like, and the thought of like, I'm constantly hosting. So like making sure I'm like, what meal am I cooking tonight? How are we entertaining today? And what activity and what coffee, just that type of thing felt a little bit overwhelming at times. And so often when people ask, how's it going with your parents? I'd be like, it's so great, but also this is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's also like, I'm sure because like when you first see people you haven't seen in a while, there's also so much to catch up on, and that's like you have so much to talk about. And then eventually you kind of run out of things to talk about with people.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, so now what do we do? And then everybody too like needs their alone time.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like an extreme. It's like an immersion.
Yes. 100%. We did have Allie's birthday party while my in-laws were here. And I don't know if I told you I was doing a scavenger hunt, like our Whistler
you did
one.
tell me that.
Okay.
How'd it go?
It ended up being really fun. I the whole party idea, I was like kind of stressing because I planned it for 3 hours. We're taking her to Portland this week with Denise and her girls. And that's like her gift.
Are you riding your bikes there?
Thought about it for a split second. No, we're walking. That's her gift is like, we're taking you to Portland. I'm paying for the hotel. Like, this is your present for your turning 13. So the party itself was more of like, she wanted to celebrate her birthday with friends, but not do a big thing. So I thought a scavenger hunt, pretty inexpensive, kill some time, fun. So I did it just like Whistler. I did 10 trivia questions, 10 photos, and 10 items to bring back.
Cool.
And then I had a bonus point one, which was they had to take a picture with a 13-year-old boy.
Oh.
And I had 3 teams. So there's 15 girls that came. So there's 3 teams of 5. They all did it.
All to the 13-year-old boy?
Yep. And I thought it was hilarious.
So they're all going around to boys asking, are you 13?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
That was my goal.
That's awesome.
One of the girls, she was so cute. She like looks at all the things and I'm telling them a bonus question. She's like, what if this is my future husband? I was like,
perfect.
What if?
That's great. I'm a matchmaker here.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where I was really nervous. We had some car issues in the last few weeks. And so I was down a car. And then it was going to maybe be ready in the middle of the party. So there was talk of Chad going to get the car with my father-in-law. And then they were going to stop and get food on the way and bring it to the party. So basically until the day of, I didn't know what I was feeding the children.
Yeah.
Like, it was up in the air. I knew I wanted to end at Ice Cream Social down at Ruston, but that was like the extent of it. And then the day of, everything just went so smoothly.
Nice.
Like, we met at Dunes Peninsula, so like down past, the downtown Ruston area. And the girls all gathered there. We gave them all the instructions, and then they run off towards Reston. And we ended up, I thought I was going to stay there the whole time. We ended up packing everything up and going back towards like the park area. Like, we actually found a nice little shady hill right in front of the hotel. And
at Point Reston?
At Point Reston. Okay. And we were able to just kind of be visually, we could kind of see some kids like running by. And then we were also really close. We ended up just getting pizza from Varelli's.
Nice.
So we did that. And then I thought we were going to be mad, like rushing around, you know, just because of the time, but they ended up getting things done within the hour and then came back, had pizza, even had time to like play on the playground. And then we went and got ice cream social, and it was all the tables outside were open. So we got all 15 girls to sit together outside.
Wow.
And there was plenty of time for them to sit. And then what was nice is like that right by ice cream social, there's like a little driveway that you can like drop off or pick up.
Yep.
So parents just like swung in, grabbed their kids, and like it was so smooth. Nice. It was like pleasantly like,
that's awesome.
This could not have gone better.
How many teams were there?
3 teams of 5 girls.
Wow.
So 15
that's a big,
girls.
Big group.
Yeah. 13-year-olds for the most part. I think everybody's 13.
Crazy.
Valley. Yeah. So that was a fun thing that we got to do. And really outside of that, I like couldn't tell you, like, because of summer, I'm like every day's the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
I know these are the days we live for, these summer days. I got to remember to soak them up. And this is like,
yesterday, Allie was like,
it.
5 more weeks until school starts.
Oh no.
Like,
stop.
What?
Don't say that, Allie.
Why did you say that? I know. I'm like, what? And also really? Yeah.
The weather's been crazy. It's been so consistently nice every day. It's been crazy.
Yeah. It's been awesome. Yeah. I'm loving it. I'm loving my, like, just being outside. I've read like 3 or 4 fiction books and just sit on the deck in the shade and kids swim. It's like literally all I do now.
It's a dream. All right. Thanks, Jamie. See you in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh.
Just kidding.
How was your 2 weeks? Yeah. Okay.
See ya. Bye.